This is my conclusion of the Audeze LCD-1. I will give you my overall conclusions first. If you want a more in-depth analysis, you'll have to watch the whole thing. Those who are triggered to dislike any criticism of Audeze, let me trigger you now. The LCD-1 is an average headphone that is hard to justify financially. Those who are triggered to dislike any positivity about Audeze, I'll trigger you as well. The LCD-1, in all its averageness, is still a good headphone. I know some have commented that I have made contradictory statements about the LCD-1, that I've disliked it and liked it, that I don't recommend it and recommend it. This is true. And it depends entirely on whether you want me to analyze the headphones based on Audeze's promises or you want me to analyze the headphones based upon what the headphones can actually do. Audeze will not get a glowing review in this video, but neither will they get blasted. They'll be somewhere in the middle, just like the LCD-1. There was a lot of hype around the LCD-1 when it was first introduced. Like most of you, I watched some of Metal571's review. I read comments on his video. Over and over again, people seemed excited, some saying the LCD-1 would be perfect. There were three camps that I could see. First, those who were prepared to put down their money immediately. Second, those who were optimistic and said if Metal's impressions were accurate, the LCD-1 would be a game changer. Third, those who were a little more skeptical and asked how the LCD-1 compared to other similarly priced headphones. Between October and the end of November, when I got my LCD-1, the hype train had already ramped up to full speed. This was intriguing. The LCD-1 was shipping in limited quantities. The majority of the pre-orders had not yet been shipped. Those who did get the headphones were not uploading videos claiming the LCD-1 was the most amazing headphone under $500, other than Metal's review in October, of course. Those who were waiting to buy or waiting for Audeze to ship their order were starved for more detailed information. These people asked for help in forums. They wanted to know, what's the soundstage, detail retrieval, bass response, how do these compare to the Sundara? People who were invited to an Audeze press show or given advanced copies of the headphones wrote up their impressions, but they did not talk about the details. Instead, they waxed and waned about the LCD-1's lightweight and portability and that it was, according to them, neutral. And none of these early reviews provided comparisons. I bring all of this out because I was watching the hype train in slow motion. People smelled something was off. I mean, not everyone was keen to it. Some will believe anything a professional reviewer will say. Some will believe any reviewer that they particularly love. Consequently, the question became, why should someone buy the LCD-1 over the Sundara, which was at least $100 cheaper, or the Monolith M570, which was $200 cheaper, or some other headphone at slightly higher price? In other words, why not just save up and buy the LCD-2? Many people asked repeatedly, and nobody seemed to have answers. My overall conclusion is this. The LCD-1 are good headphones. The bass is not emphasized, the mids sound about one step ahead of the mix, possibly a slight boost, and there is a treble roll-off, which is a type of coloration. The headphones sound smooth. They're not the smoothest I've ever heard, not by far. Nor are the LCD-1s the clearest sounding headphones in this price category. There is some muddiness in the sub-bass and mid-bass, and sometimes a slight melding between the bass and mids frequencies. It doesn't happen with every song, but it does tend to happen. The bass, frankly, does sound a bit rolled off, a bit lean. Compared to other headphones in this price range, the difference is sometimes obvious. You might say this means that the LCD-1 is more neutral than the competition. I don't think that's a valid conclusion. You could just as easily say that the LCD-1 is less neutral than the competition because it has a leaner bass. The truth is somewhere in the middle. The LCD-1's bass will be just right for some, not good enough for others, and perhaps no improvement for those who have a competitor's headphones. The mids sound clear for the most part. I hear no distortion at all in that frequency, but the problem is that you don't get all the separation in multiple vocalists. In songs like Want You Back by Haim, the three vocalists sound almost like an echo effect when everything in the mix is playing during the crescendo. When some of the instruments fall away, the drum and bass for example, the three vocalists again have separate tonalities. Some of the competitor headphones actually provide the separation throughout the mix, whether or not all the instruments are playing. At bare minimum, the LCD-1 do not sound any better than the competition. Then there is the treble. It is rolled off considerably. The energy in treble-intense instruments is lacking. It is most obvious in orchestral pieces. It is also obvious in poorly recorded songs and singers who have prominent sibilants. In that event, the LCD-1 rolls off the sibilance, smooths out the harshness, and adds a veneer to the music. Again, this is coloration and not neutral. The soundstage is disappointing. It's about average. Without doubt, the hi-fi Mansundara have wider soundstage, not by mere inches but by feet. In other words, it is a noticeable difference in A/B tests. Indeed, the LCD-1 both feels a little more claustrophobic and sounds more closed than some of the competition. Although the LCD-1 is only 16 ohms and can be driven by portable devices, I think that's really a mischaracterization. I think you'll need an amplifier unless your portable device has a powerful amp built in. This is because when I tested the headphones with my Hibi R6 and iPhone X, the LCD-1 sounded a little muddy overall, and there seemed to be a weird distortion in the bass at higher volumes. When plugged into a dedicated amplifier, however, that distortion went away. Moreover, on both my Hibi R6 and iPhone, I had to increase to volume about 75% to get the headphones loud enough for me. Some might claim that listening to headphones that loudly is wrong. Well, yes, but not everyone will agree. Moreover, testing headphones requires pushing the drivers. Consequently, those who like listening to music at high volume, a dangerous proposition for a few reasons, the LCD-1 still requires an amplifier. Overall, here's the point. The LCD-1 are average. Even in the sub $500 category, there are headphones that perform better in some categories or outright beat the LCD-1 altogether. When people say that the LCD-1 is the best headphone under $500, they are making a very bold statement. This is marketing fluff. Audeze and its fans can say that the LCD-1 is the best sounding headphone under $500, but that's a belief, not an actual fact. I've said this many times to people. It's easy for reviewers to say a product sounds the most detailed or the most musical or the best ever when not comparing items back to back. When you use a rigorous testing methodology like an A/B test, then you really put your money where your mouth is. In this section, I intend to explain why the LCD-1 is a good headphone with mediocre sound. The LCD-1 has rolled off bass. It is bass light. The sub-bass is so muted that you could easily miss its presence in some songs. Some orchestral music demands low rumble, and the LCD-1 simply can't provide that. Hip-hop songs have a chest-thumping bass instrument at the bottom of the mix, giving every element of the song some more body, more presence, and emphasis. The LCD-1 fails at that too. There is noticeable distortion when the sub-bass and mid-bass is applied at once. That distortion remains until one of the bass frequencies dies off. The LCD-1 is not a bassy headphone, not by far. I have not heard anyone say otherwise, but that's kind of a problem. If you want neutral headphones, then those headphones should reproduce sub-bass rumble audibly, assuming the headphones dig deep into the sub-frequency range. Neutral and detailed headphones should not have distortion in the bass. Neutral means that nothing is emphasized or underemphasized. It is flat. Unfortunately, the LCD-1 has an underemphasized bass. You can EQ that, of course, but then it's not a true out-of-the-box mixing and mastering headphone. You need to apply things to it. That begs the question, how is this different from other headphones? We compared several to the LCD-1. We found that the hi-fi Sundara have the same bass presentation. In some instances, the Sundara seemed to have a slight boost in the bass, and other times the two headphones sounded alike. I think it's safe to say that both the Sundara and LCD-1 have the same bass response for all intents and purposes. We also compared to the Sennheiser HD650. The bass is clearer on the HD650, less muddy. The larger ear cups help dissipate the resonances, help separate some of the sub-bass and mid-bass phonics. The 650 is not a bassy headphone. Consequently, its overall bass emphasis was not markedly different from the LCD-1, just cleaner. Compared to the Olo S4, the bass again was very similar. The S4 tended to have a slight emphasis in the bass in some tracks, whereas the LCD-1 remained consistently unemphasized, or more precisely, underemphasized. When tested against very cheap headphones like the RH50 from Rane, the LCD-1 again displayed a muddier bass presentation. The LCD-1 had a slightly faster bass transients, but not by much. The separation between sub-bass and mid-bass was slightly clearer on the RH50. The LCD-1's mids are about one step ahead of the entire mix. The headphone is not capable of providing micro details with female vocalists. The nuanced differences of pitch and voice is often lost in translation. The mids are undistorted, however. They are quite smooth, hence the loss of some detail. I would not say that the LCD-1 is a mids-forward headphone. It does not seem to emphasize mids presentation enough to reach that conclusion. Compared to the Sundara, the LCD-1 seems quite different. The Sundara's mids were clear. This headphones provided the detail that the LCD-1 missed. The Sundara's mids are about 1 to 2 steps ahead of the mix, not a significant difference from the LCD-1. However, the clarity of multiple vocalists is the discerning factor, and in that regard, the Sundara has a cleaner separation of multiple vocalists. The HD650 is a more mid-centric headphone than most. The LCD-1's mids in comparison seemed veiled. The HD650 has slightly cleaner presentation, slightly clearer presentation, with slightly more detail, more separation of multiple vocalists. The differences here were less obvious than the differences between the Sundara and the LCD-1, but were still present. The RH50 provided substantial clarity in the mids, so much that I would say it is a night and day difference. The RH50 can easily separate multiple vocalists. It can provide clarity that the LCD-1 hides. Moreover, the RH50 presents the micro details that the LCD-1 struggles to reconstruct audibly. Harsh recordings will sound harsh on the RH50, but harsh recordings on the LCD-1 will sound smoother. The oriolus S4 also has slightly more clarity and separation. It is not to the same degree as the RH50, but noticeable. The S4 does not sound muddy or veiled in comparison to the LCD-1. The Elo provides the micro details that the LCD-1 struggles to recreate. There are two very obvious differences between the LCD-1 and competitor headphones. The first difference is the treble. The LCD-1 has a rolled-off treble so significant that it can make harsh, shrill recordings easier to listen. In orchestral pieces, the horns and brass lose their emphasis. Those instruments should cut through the others, but on the LCD-1 they sound muffled. On the other hand, a vocalist prone to sibilance will sound more pleasant. Recordings with treble accentuation will sound less so. As the end user, that might be a good thing. But as an artist, hearing that your song does not have enough treble will compel you to accentuate that frequency. And if you're recording and mixing on the LCD-1, the end result might be too harsh for everyone else. The Sundara has slightly more energy in the treble than the LCD-1. It is not a huge difference, but where the LCD-1 might sound too smooth or too muffled, the Sundara might provide just the right amount of adjustment. Instruments that lack emphasis or attack on the LCD-1 might sound differently on the Sundara, and in fact did. The HD650 had more treble presentation than the LCD-1. This difference was a little bit more obvious than between the Sundara and the LCD-1. The treble energy was emphasized by a few decibels on the 650. The oriolus S4 also sounded similar to the 650. The S4 provided a few decibels more treble energy, more clarity. Whereas the LCD-1 might blunt an energetic instrument, turning down the treble response, the S4 would keep that original emphasis. The RH50 is a different beast altogether. The treble is definitely accentuated. Compared to all the other headphones, the RH50 might sound harsh to those who are treble sensitive. The RH50 is the yin to the LCD-1's yang. Whereas the LCD-1 rolls off the treble, the RH50 seems to bring it up to ear-piercing levels on some recordings. The second obvious issue with the LCD-1 is its soundstage. It is unimpressive. For an open-back headphone, the LCD-1 sounds like a closed back, and a very poorly tuned closed back at that. Indeed, the RH50 is closed back, but has wider soundstage, average to above average. The Sundara and the HD650 both have wider soundstage than the LCD-1. The oriolus S4 has slightly wider soundstage than the LCD-1. In fact, the super cheap and plasticky Sony MDR MA100 has noticeably wider soundstage than the LCD-1. The lack of soundstage prevents accurate instrument placement. Every instrument, vocalist, detail is shoved directly into your ear. The LCD-1 has no ability to demonstrate depth or verticality. The LCD-1 is by no means the most claustrophobic headphone on the market. That award goes to the Mobius. But the LCD-1 at $400 is also shamefully lackluster in this regard. Each and every competitor has wider soundstage. The substandard soundstage contributes to the LCD-1's average at best driver performance. A wider soundstage might have made the sub-bass and mid-bass separation cleaner. A wider soundstage might have allowed for less muddy, muffled mids. A wider soundstage, on the other hand, likely would not have helped the treble response. Perhaps changing ear pads might help, but there are no alternative ear pads. Audeze does not sell bigger ear pads or ear pads made of different material. And so far, 5 months after release, I do not know of any third-party manufacturer that is selling LCD-1 earpads. In other words, you're stuck with the limited soundstage. Audeze invites you to use their Reveal software to make adjustments to the LCD-1, and perhaps that might be of some benefit to other people. But die-hard audiophiles will balk at software manipulation of their music, and there is a learning curve to the software. Moreover, a setting that might be just right for one track might be totally inappropriate for the next track. Continual adjustment might be necessary. Consequently, Audeze does not make things easy. You're stuck with what you get, and unless you're eager to play with Audeze's software plugin, the unimpressive soundstage might be a deal breaker. The LCD-1 has some marketing gimmicks I think we need to discuss. Audeze and its supporters cheer for the LCD-1's folding design and build quality. I, on the other hand, am not impressed. The LCD-1's weight is among the lowest of any headphone, but when you compare the weight to other headphones, you realize the differences are quite minimal. The LCD-1 weighs 250 grams. The weight of competitor headphones is displayed on screen. The Sundara is 372 grams, the NAD HP50 226, AllOS 4 328, the HD660S 260, the HD380 220, the SRH 1840 268, the T60RP 380, the TR70 297, and Brainwave's Alara 430 grams. Yes, the LCD-1 is on the lighter side, but not by a whole lot. The heaviest competitor is the Alara at 430 grams, which is 15 ounces. The LCD-1 is 8.8 ounces, which means it is about 6 ounces lighter. But compared to the other headphones on the list, the LCD-1 is within 1 to 3 ounces of difference. To some people, weight is an issue. I understand and accept that. But let's not pretend that it is an issue for everyone. None of the headphones I listed here are heavy. They're not like Audeze's LCD-2, which weighs 550 grams, or like the ZMF Atticus, which can weigh up to 600 grams. We are not talking cinder blocks. We're talking about paper thickness differences. Consequently, Audeze's claims about lightweight design must be put into context. That lightweight comes at a cost of something, and it's in the materials. The LCD-1 has a mostly plastic build. Now, the plastic feels fine. It does not feel cheap like the plastic on some $20 headphones. The plastic is very similar to the type deployed on Beats or Bose headphones. It's nothing spectacular, and it's nothing immediately worrying. Unless, of course, you are less than careful with your gear. If you take these headphones on the road, don't throw them in your bag unprotected. Don't drop them. Don't put them between layers. Don't toss them on the table. You'll end up hearing a $400 crunching sound, which is not very musical. Moreover, the folding design is laughably mediocre and not impressive. The LCD-1, when open but the headband not extended, measures 8 inches from the bottom of the ear cups to the top of the headband. When you fold the ear cups up, again without extending the headband, the LCD-1 measures 6.5 inches. Yippee! You saved yourself 1.5 inches. What irritates me is the total fallacy that this folding design should be applauded. Some say it's great, while others say it doesn't matter one way or another and you shouldn't be critical of it. I disagree. In the box with the LCD-1, you get the carrying case. It's nice enough. It's compact enough. It holds the headphones securely. It has no frills. Oh, and it adds the 1.5 inches back to the headphones. So what exactly did you do to save space? You just folded your headphones, saving 1.5 inches of room, you've merely redistributed the volume, only to put the headphones in a case that not only adds the 1.5 inches back, but also adds a bit of girth. Where is the space-saving function? Anyone who claims that the folding design is fine for tossing the headphones into your bag is playing with loaded dice. You're asking for an unfortunate accident when something else you haphazardly toss into the bag smacks against the headband, cracking it. This is why arguments that build does not matter are incredibly short-sighted. People who tout the lightweight and space-saving functionality cannot ignore the downsides that come along with it. In short, the build and folding design is mediocre. The LCD-1 has minimally less weight than competitors. The plastic design is no more or less robust than your standard Beats headphone. The folding design is a gimmick that only adds failure points to the headphone design. I like the LCD-1 cable. Audeze did something different. There are headphones which are ambidextrous, meaning you can plug the left or right cable termination into either ear cup. Those headphones do not have a left and right marking on the ear cups because it doesn't matter. As long as you plug in the left terminator into the ear cup you want to be the left ear cup, the headphone does not care. The Allo audio headphones do this. But Audeze took a different tack. The LCD-1 does have a left and right marking on the ear cups. Those markings are easy to read. However, the cable terminations do not have left and right designations. This is because it does not matter which terminator you plug into the left or right ear cup. I have not heard of any other headphones implementing this technique. I like it. The left and right designations are typically easier to read on the headphones than on cables. I find myself squinting every time I pick up my Allo headphones, but with the LCD-1, it's easy peasy. I suspect Audeze patented this feature. Good for them. It's a really nice feature, one which I hope they implement in all future headphones. It is a step in the right direction. The cable otherwise is nothing to write home about. It feels fairly sturdy, has a nice Kevlar-type sheath, and for my uses the cable is perfectly long, letting me use amplifiers 5 feet away without struggling. For such a light headphone, I would have expected light clamping force. However, the LCD-1 seems to have a tight clamp. I suspect the force is about average, no more or less than most of the headphones we compared. What makes the headphone feel more forceful is the ear pads. The ear pads are too small, about 2 knuckles wide. I like that the ear pads are oval, but the ear cups are simply too small. Moreover, the ear pads are not thick enough to prevent the top of my ear from hitting the inside of the ear cup. If you have ever modified headphones, you know that an ear pad change can bring noticeable difference in sound and comfort. Indeed, when someone complains a headphone has muddy bass or a strong treble, audio enthusiasts will usually recommend a pad change before anything else. This is because the placement of the headphones around your ears is crucial. If your headphones are placed slightly off, or your ears touch the inside of the ear cups, you will feel discomfort and the sound may be slightly, off. Changing ear pads is therefore critical in some respects. Consequently, when I say that the LCD-1 has significant clamping force, please take that into context. The ear pads are uncomfortable for long periods of listening. Even half an inch larger ear cups would have made a difference for the better. A little bit more padding might be enough to keep my ears from touching the inside of the ear cups. Some people might find the fit just perfect, some will not. Let's be straight with each other. You need to know that the ear cups are small, the padding is lacking, and the comfort can be an issue. You won't know for sure until you put the headphones on your head. And as I said previously, there is currently no alternative to the standard ear pads Audeze provides for the LCD-1. The word niche is French. It means a shallow recess, or a product that appeals to a very small segment of society. The word applies to the LCD-1, and not really in a good way. At first, you might say that the small segment for whom the headphones were created are the professionals, the audio engineers, and the critical listeners. You'd be wrong. You see, Audeze already sells more expensive headphones for those people. So do many other companies. This is not really a niche. No, I think that Audeze felt threatened by the competition which has in the last few years brought us excellent headphones like the Sennheiser Ava, Monolith M1060, Fostex T50RP mods, and others. Audeze did not have an audiophile headphone below $800. They needed to introduce a product to get some of that market share back. But how do you distinguish yourself on the crowded playing field? Yes, the name Audeze would turn heads, and yes, a sub-$800 Audeze headphone would raise eyebrows. But Audeze already tried that to mixed and, in my opinion, unfruitful success with the Mobius, and the promising Sine and EL8 headphones are long discontinued. Audeze has stiff competition. Although there are plenty of people who like Audeze's products, there are many who dislike Audeze for various reasons. So the best way to stand out is to carve out your own little pond. Audeze created a $400 open-back planar magnetic light folding headphone that allegedly is for mixing and mastering. Go, find me a headphone under $500 that fits this criteria. I couldn't, and I searched far and wide. Yes, there are plenty of studio-quality headphones under $500. There are also plenty open-back and light headphones. There are folding headphones, planar magnetic headphones, and there are headphones that have some of these qualities, but none have all of them. So here comes Audeze with a new headphone that simply has no design competition. You might say that this is a very shallow interpretation of what Audeze did, but I can't help the fact that Audeze created a very shallow headphone. There is nothing unique here. There is nothing new, innovative, or different from the competition. Indeed, the most striking innovation is the cable design, but every other element of this headphone has been done before and arguably in some instances better. There have been a few vocal defenders of the LCD-1 who commented on my videos. When I pointed out some of the design flaws, the pointless folding design, the small ear cups, the mediocre sound, I was told that nobody cares about the folding design and nobody cares about the plastic build, and you're not a sound engineer, so you're not trustworthy. If the LCD-1's folding design and plastic build are non-issues, then what are things people care about? Surely they care about the sound. If we put aside the lightweight and folding ability, what does Audeze have left? They have a headphone that has mediocre sound qualities equal to headphones that cost less. Audeze did not invent a new way to fold the LCD-1, nor a novel way of saving space. They did not create a new resin to provide strength and light weight. They did not materially alter anything about any previous headphone structure. Instead, Audeze took bits and pieces of what made other headphones stand out and smashed them together. There's nothing wrong with that. Audeze should be commended to a degree for doing something the other manufacturers won't. That is, combining what others had already done into one design. The LCD-1's folding design, however, doesn't actually save space. 1.5 inches in a backpack or suitcase isn't much at all. And when you add the case on top, you're not saving space at all. The plastic build quality at $400 is at the very least disappointing. You likely will not break your headphones with careful use, but when you spend that amount of cash, you do expect a bit more care in the materials. The use of small earpads that you cannot replace with different kinds, makes the user experience that much less enjoyable. So yes, Audeze took some ideas from elsewhere and implemented them into the LCD-1. But Audeze's use of small ear cups, insufficient padding, and no alternative earpad offerings means that those who simply find the headphones uncomfortable have no choice but to return them. And if someone already has the Sundara or HD650, the LCD-1 is not an upgrade. There are some sonic differences, and that may be to your liking, but neutral the LCD-1 is not. A few audio engineers have indeed given praise to Audeze about the LCD-1. Bob Katz was featured on Audeze's YouTube page. In a 34-second video, Bob somehow could not string together a coherent argument why he liked the headphones. He emphasized, however, he got the headphones for free, had 2 weeks to listen to them, and that Audeze wouldn't dare send him anything unless it was excellent. Preconditioned no less. He did not explain how the sound is good and why he believes the LCD-1 are worth purchasing. Bob works at Inner Fidelity, an audio gear review website that has a colored history of success. Till Hertzen retired in 2018 from that website. Many people consider his leaving a big loss, and I would agree. When people like Bob Katz get a headphone for free and provide no information whether they actually tested the headphones, their opinion, good or bad, positive or negative, should be viewed with concern. I have not found any actual reviews and tests done by any of the audio engineers mentioned by Audeze. If you explore Audeze's website, you will find some names that you might not recognize, and one that you certainly will. For example, there's Bob Katz, Manny Marroquin, Carlos de la Garza, and Metal 571. None of these people recorded or wrote an actual test. They did not conduct comparisons A and B. They did not provide details about the product they ostensibly reviewed. Bob Katz does not have a review anywhere. Manny Marroquin does not have a review anywhere. Carlos de la Garza does not have a review anywhere. And Metal 571, well, he does have a video about the headphones. Metal gave a glowing review without actually providing meaningful comparisons. As he spoke about the product, he failed to explain how it compared to similarly priced competitors. Many people pointed out in his comments section that the LCD-1 seemed to target the Sundara and M570 market. They also asked about the LCD-1's sound signature compared to the more expensive Audeze headphones. They asked about the soundstage and bass response and all that other stuff that goes along with an actual review. In short, it appears that many people were not particularly satisfied with Metal's response in the videos. Out of fairness, I must admit that many seem to love it as well. But a lot of the positive feedback for Metal's video is based upon people surprised that Audeze would release a cheap headphone, that it would be for us mere mortals. His video was uploaded in October 2019. As far as I know, it has yet to be amended with a more thorough video describing details. Frankly, there are some well-recognized names saying wonderful things about the LCD-1 without actually saying anything about the product. For example, Manny Marroquin is quoted saying that the LCD-1 is easily the best portable reference headphones, especially well suited to up-and-coming producers looking for serious professional over-ear monitors. And Carlos de la Garza says, using the LCD-1s has taken me to headphone heaven. They are extremely comfortable, lightweight, and get frighteningly close to the sound of some of the flagship headphone models in Audeze's lineup. Best bang for your buck headphones available anywhere, full stop. We already have Bob and Metal's impressions. What do all these people tell us? That the headphones are light and portable, that they are all amazed by the sound, it's the best you can get for up-and-coming producers. Saying that the LCD-1 is frighteningly close to the sound of some of Audeze's other headphones means absolutely nothing. Which other headphones? Why is it close? What keeps these headphones from sounding just like the more expensive ones? What makes you say that $400 for these is the best bang for your buck? How are these headphones well suited for up-and-coming producers? What qualities in a headphone should the budding producers look for? Is the young producer's goal to find a portable headphone, or one that sounds neutral, or one that sounds frighteningly close to Audeze's house signature? Are there no alternatives for a similar price? How much less bang for your buck would you get with the Audio-Technica M40X or the Sundara? Perhaps these audio engineers are busy with other things and could not provide this information. Perhaps they are too busy to write or record detailed reviews, and if that's the case, then their one-paragraph statements are nothing but marketing fluff. Indeed, that is factually what these statements are. They are used to convince people to buy the LCD-1. I have no objection to any of these professionals stating they found the LCD-1 to their liking. They personally like the sound, and that's fine. But when these people give advice that the headphones are the best or should be purchased, then they are required to provide information required to explain why they think that. There are some people who will take Bob Katz and Carlos de la Garza and Metal 571 at their vague words. Some people will go out and buy any headphone or audio gear endorsed by such professionals, whether or not these professionals conducted a test or review. Those people have every right to spend their money how they wish, but they do not have a right to demand everyone else follow suit. When asked why Bob Katz's conclusion should be accepted, the answer is because he's an audio engineer and he knows best. This is not a convincing answer. It is an answer from those who have no explanation why the LCD-1, a mediocre headphone, should be given such great value. I think it was interesting to see the hype machine ramp up and roll out on this one. I treated the LCD-1 as a case study, viewed it from afar and then up close. I had a chance to sit back and watch the commotion, and then delve in to determine if the commotion was warranted. I read the marketing, read comments by vitriolic defenders who never purchased the product, and read less than satisfied sighs from those who actually did buy the headphones. There is a disconnect here. The paid professionals who got the product for free seemed to love it. The evangelists who never bought the product defended with a concerning lack of common sense. And people who did in fact purchase the product seemed to say something quite different from the other groups. An examination of forum posts and comments on videos indicates that although most people think that the LCD-1 are good headphones, most cannot say that they are the best. Indeed, few if any commentators have multiple headphones within the $500 price bracket to test against the LCD-1. Regardless, none to my knowledge have done thorough A/B tests. It is safe to say that the opinion on the LCD-1, opinion from those who purchased the product themselves, is not particularly glowing. Yes, there are people who do in fact like the headphones very much, and there are those who say that they would not go back and buy it again. This begs a question. Who is this headphone for? Audeze and his collaborators want you to think that the LCD-1 is for professional use in studio, that it has abilities that no other headphone under $500 can provide. But that narrative is simply false. There is no truth to it at all. Repeated tests show that the LCD-1 is not the king of sub-$500 mixing and mastering headphones. That is, these headphones are not for mixing and mastering or professional use specifically. I know who these headphones target. I know who these headphones are for. After months of listening and testing, I'm confident that the LCD-1 is for those who simply want a smooth sound signature. When you analyze the LCD-1 with Audeze's claims in mind, the headphones do not compare well to others. The LCD-1 seems subpar or at best, average. But when you look at the LCD-1 based upon its actual performance, you get a different picture, a picture of what the headphone is good at. In December 2019, I released a holiday buying guide and the LCD-1 was on it. I told you exactly why. I never said it was because of its detailed retrieval, soundstage build, or any other factor that goes hand in hand with professional use. I repeatedly said the LCD-1 is not that type of headphone. The reason I put the headphone on my holiday buying guide is because it is smooth sounding, and that was precisely the category in which it was placed. That is the category I will continue to place it. The unemphasized bass, slightly veiled mids, quite rolled off treble, unimpressive soundstage, all of this combines for a headphone that does not perform factually better than the competition. But all of these characteristics also combine to make a headphone that might be very pleasing to listen to. If you buy the LCD-1 with the expectation you will get an upgrade from your Audio-Technica headphones, you might be severely disappointed. That is, if you're trying to upgrade for mixing and mastering. But if you buy the LCD-1 with the expectation of a smooth sound signature, intimate presentation, relaxed treble, then you might be very well pleased. I do not recommend the LCD-1 for professional use. I do not recommend it because Audeze's claims, and concurrently the claims of its advertisers, simply do not bear fruit. But I can recommend the LCD-1 to those who want a smoother sound signature. The LCD-1 is not a great headphone. It is not a terrible headphone. It's simply someplace in the middle.